I was sitting in my truck outside Marco's Italian restaurant watching my wife through the window. Sarah was laughing, her hand touching the arm of a man who was not me. 7 years of marriage. 2 beautiful kids. I thought we had built something real, something that could weather any storm. But for 3 months I had watched her slip away. Tonight she told me she was having dinner with her college friend Jessica. But Jessica was on my phone screen right now, confused about why Sarah would use her as an alibi. In my pocket was a recording device. 47 minutes of truth that would shatter every lie she had told. Before we dive into what happened next, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you have ever felt that gut-wrenching moment when you realize someone you love has been lying to you, hit that like button. Subscribe, because this story gets intense, and you will want to hear how it ends. Trust me, the evidence I had was something she never saw coming. Let me take you back to the beginning, because every ending starts somewhere beautiful before it turns dark. I met Sarah 9 years ago at a charity marathon in Portland. I was running my first half marathon, convinced I was going to die somewhere around mile 8. She was volunteering at the water station, and when I stumbled up, she handed me a cup and smiled. Our fingers touched, and she said something I will never forget. "You look like you are about to collapse, but in a heroic way." I laughed, despite feeling like my lungs were on fire. That laugh saved me. I finished the race, went back to find her, and asked if heroic-looking guys who almost collapsed could buy her coffee. She said yes. We started dating 3 weeks later. Within 2 years, we were married in her parents' backyard in Eugene, Oregon. It was small, just family and close friends, exactly what we both wanted. We bought a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs with a yard big enough for kids to run around in. Emma came first, then Jake 2 years later. I worked as a project manager at a construction firm. Sarah was a physical therapist, helping people recover from injuries, rebuild their strength. We had routines that felt sacred. Sunday morning pancakes where Emma would insist on adding way too many chocolate chips. Friday movie nights after the kids fell asleep where we would curl up on the couch, and Sarah would fall asleep on my shoulder before the credits rolled. Every summer we would pack up the minivan and drive to Crater Lake for a week of camping. I can still see Emma taking her first steps in our living room, wobbling towards Sarah with this look of pure determination. I can still hear Jake's laughter when I would toss him in the air, completely trusting that I would catch him. I can still feel Sarah's hand in mine during sunset, walks around our neighborhood talking about everything and nothing. That was our life. I thought it was enough. I thought we were happy. Then about 3 months ago, things started to change. Small things at first, easy to dismiss. Sarah started going to the gym more often. She used to go twice a week just to stay active. Suddenly it was 5 times a week. She bought new workout clothes, expensive leggings, and fitted tops that she would spend time picking out. She started wearing makeup to the gym, which seemed odd to me, but when I mentioned it, she laughed it off. "I just want to feel good about myself, Brantley. Is that a crime?" I told her. Of course not, but something felt off. Her phone became an extension of her body. It used to sit casually on the kitchen counter screen, up notifications visible. Now it went everywhere with her. To the bathroom. To the bedroom when she went to grab a sweater. She added a password to it which she had never had before. When I asked why, she said she read an article about phone security and hacking. Made sense, I guess. But it was just one more small thing that did not sit right. She started talking about a new client at work. Derek. He had injured his shoulder rock climbing and needed extensive physical therapy. At first it was casual mentions. Derek is so dedicated to his recovery. Derek told me the funniest story about his climbing trip in Yosemite. Derek this, Derek that. I felt a small ping of discomfort, but I pushed it down. I trusted Sarah. We had built a life together. She would not do anything to jeopardize that, would she? Then came the late evenings. Sarah started staying after work for continuing education courses. Physical therapy techniques were always evolving, she explained, and she needed to keep up with the latest research. When I asked her about what she was learning, her answers were vague. Just new techniques, nothing too exciting. But her eyes would not meet mine when she said it. She would look at her phone at the kids at the wall behind me. Anywhere but at me. Our intimacy disappeared like morning fog in sunlight. She was always tired. Always had an early morning the next day. When I tried to talk to her about reconnecting, she would wave it off. "We are fine, Brantley. You are overthinking things." But we were not fine. I could feel her slipping through my fingers like sand, and I had no idea how to hold on. 2 weeks ago, everything came into focus. We were sitting at dinner, the 4 of us, and Sarah's phone buzzed on the table. She grabbed it so fast she almost knocked over Jake's cup of milk. I saw her face flush as she looked at the screen. "Who was that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. "Just Jessica confirming our lunch plans," she said. But I had seen the screen before she angled it away. The name at the top was not Jessica. It was D with a heart emoji next to it. That night after Sarah fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The doubt was eating me alive. I had to know. I got up quietly, went to her side of the bed, and picked up her phone from the nightstand. My hands were shaking. I tried her birthday as the passcode. It worked. She had not even bothered to make it something I would not guess. I opened her messages and found the thread with D. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might wake her up. I scrolled through message after message going back 6 weeks. At first they were flirty but could maybe be explained away. "You made me laugh so hard today during our session. Cannot wait to see you again tomorrow." Then they got more intimate. "I cannot stop thinking about you. You have woken up something in me I thought was dead." Then they got explicit, talking about meeting up. Talking about how they connected on a level that Sarah claimed she had never experienced before, not even with me. One message from Derek made my blood run cold. "When are you going to tell him we cannot keep sneaking around forever?" Sarah's response was worse. I know. I just need more time. The kids make it complicated." "But Derek, what we have it is worth the wait." There were photos. Sarah and Derek hiking together a trail I recognized from the coast. Sarah and Derek having coffee at a cafe downtown, his arm around her shoulders. In one photo, she was wearing the silver necklace I had given her for our 5th anniversary. She was wearing my gift while being with him. I wanted to shake her awake right then. I wanted to scream. I wanted answers. But something in me, some cold and calculating part of my brain that I did not know existed, stopped me. If I confronted her with just the messages, she would deny it. She would say they were just friends, and I was reading too much into it. She would make me feel crazy for not trusting her. I needed more. I needed proof so undeniable that she could not twist it, could not explain it away. The next morning I made breakfast like nothing was wrong. Scrambled eggs and toast for the kids. Coffee for Sarah. I kissed her goodbye when she left for work, feeling absolutely nothing when my lips touched her cheek. I dropped Emma and Jake at daycare, smiling and waving like everything was normal. Then I drove to an electronics store across town where nobody would recognize me. I bought a small voice-activated recording device. The guy at the counter showed me how it worked. It would start recording when it detected sound and stop when things went quiet, saving battery life. I felt disgusting buying it. I felt like I was becoming someone I did not recognize, someone who spied on his wife. But the need to know the truth was stronger than my shame. That evening, after Sarah went inside to shower, I went out to her car with a flashlight. I slid the device under the passenger seat, tucking it into the springs where it would not be visible or fall out. Then I went back inside and had dinner with my family, pretending everything was fine. 3 days passed. Each night after Sarah was asleep, I would sneak out to her car and retrieve the device. I would sit in the garage with headphones on listening. Most of it was boring. Sarah singing along to the radio. Phone calls with her mom about Emma's upcoming birthday party. The kids chattering in the back seat about their day at school. Nothing incriminating. Then, on the 4th night, everything changed. I put the headphones on, hit play, and heard Sarah's car door open. Then a man's voice. "Hey, beautiful. Derek." He got into the passenger seat, the sound of a kiss. Then they started driving. Their conversation started innocent enough. Traffic was terrible on the highway. The weather forecast said rain all weekend. Normal stuff. Then Derek said something that made my whole body go rigid. "So did you tell Brantley about Friday?" Sarah's response came after a pause. "Not exactly. I told him I am having dinner with Jessica." Derek laughed. It was a casual, comfortable laugh. The laugh of someone who was not bothered by deception. "You know you are going to have to come clean eventually," he said. "I know," Sarah replied. "I am just scared. Brantley is a good man. He does not deserve this. But Derek, what we have, it is different. It is alive. My marriage feels like a routine, like we are just roommates raising kids." "Then leave," Derek said. "Be with me. We can figure out the kid situation." Sarah sighed a long, heavy sigh. "It is not that simple. There is the house, the finances. Emma and Jake adore their dad. But do you love him?" Derek asked. The pause that followed felt like it lasted an hour. I sat there in my garage at 11 o'clock at night, headphones on, holding my breath. Finally, Sarah spoke. "I do not know anymore. I love what we were, but I am not in love with him. Not like I am with you. I ripped the headphones off and dry-heaved into a bucket I kept for painting supplies. My wife, the mother of my children, the woman I had pledged my life to, had just told another man she was not in love with me anymore. She had said it so casually, like she was talking about not liking a restaurant anymore. I sat on the concrete floor of that garage for an hour, just breathing, trying to process what I had heard. When I finally went back inside, Sarah was asleep in our bed, curled up on her side, peaceful. I looked at her and felt like I was looking at a stranger. I spent the next 2 days planning. I was not going to be the victim in this story. I was not going to roll over and let her destroy our family without consequences. I called a divorce attorney, a woman named Patricia, who came highly recommended. I played her the recording. I showed her screenshots of the messages I had taken. She listened, took notes, and then looked at me with a mixture of sympathy and professional determination. "You have a solid case," she said. "Infidelity gives you significant leverage in custody and asset division. Document everything. Do not confront her until you are ready." Friday came. That morning, Sarah came into the kitchen wearing a blue dress I had always loved on her. She poured herself coffee and smiled at me. "I am meeting Jessica for dinner tonight at Marco's downtown. Probably will be home around 9. I nodded, sipping my own coffee. "Sounds good, have fun." She kissed my cheek and I felt absolutely nothing. The warmth I used to feel from her touch had been replaced by ice. After she left for work, I called my brother Tom. "I need you to watch Emma and Jake tonight. Something important came up." Tom heard the tone in my voice, the edge I could not quite hide. "Everything okay, Brantley?" "It will be," I said. At 6:15 that evening, I parked my truck across the street from Marco's Italian restaurant. I had a clear view of the entrance. At 6:30, Sarah's car pulled up. She got out, checked her reflection in the car window, smoothed down her dress. She was dressed up for him, not for a casual dinner with a girlfriend. 10 minutes later, a silver sedan parked nearby. Derek got out. Tall, athletic build, confident walk. He was wearing a button-down shirt and dark jeans. They met on the sidewalk and he hugged her. It was not a friendly hug between acquaintances. His hand rested on the small of her back. She leaned into him. They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other, before walking into the restaurant together. I waited 15 minutes. I wanted them settled and comfortable, unsuspecting. I wanted them to order drinks to relax into their lie. Then I grabbed the small Bluetooth speaker from my passenger seat and walked across the street. Marco's was busy for a Friday night. Couples on dates. Families celebrating. The hostess greeted me with a bright smile. "Good evening, table for one." I shook my head. "I am looking for my wife, actually. She is already here." The hostess looked confused, but gestured toward the dining room. I scanned the tables and found them in a corner booth partially hidden by a decorative wine rack, perfect for a secret date. I walked slowly, steadily. My heart was pounding, but my hands were not shaking anymore. I felt calm, focused. When I was about 10 feet away, Sarah looked up, probably sensing someone approaching. Her eyes met mine. I watched her face go through a series of expressions in about 2 seconds. Happy, confused, horrified. Brantley. Her voice was high-strained. "What are you doing here?" Derek started to stand, but I held up a hand. "Sit down, Derek. This will not take long." He sat back down slowly, looking between Sarah and me like he was trying to figure out what was happening. Other diners were starting to notice. The couple at the next table had stopped their conversation to watch. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the small Bluetooth speaker. I placed it on the edge of their table. "Sarah, you told me you were having dinner with Jessica tonight." Sarah's eyes were wide, panicked. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. This is not what it looks like. Derek is just a friend from work. We were just having a friendly dinner to catch up." I smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was cold, empty. Just a friendly dinner. That is interesting. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the speaker, and pressed play. Sarah's voice filled the restaurant. "Not exactly. I told him I'm having dinner with Jessica." Derek's voice. "You know you are going to have to come clean eventually." Sarah's voice. "I know. I am just scared. Brantley is a good man. He does not deserve this. But Derek, what we have it is different. It is alive. My marriage feels like a routine, like we are just roommates raising kids." The silence in Marco's was absolute. Even the kitchen noise seemed to stop. Every person in that restaurant was listening. Derek's voice. "Then leave. Be with me. Sarah's voice. It is not that simple. There is the house, the finances. Emma and Jake adore their dad. Derek's voice. But do you love him? The pause on the recording seemed even longer than it had in my garage. Sarah's voice. I do not know anymore. I love what we were. But I am not in love with him. Not like I am with you. I stopped the recording. Sarah's face had gone from flushed to pale white. Her mouth was opening and closing, but no sound was coming out. Derek was staring at his plate, like he wanted to disappear into it. Brantley, please, Sarah finally managed to say. Can we talk about this at home? People are staring. I picked up my speaker and put it back in my pocket. No, Sarah. We are done talking. You made your choice. I turned and walked toward the exit. I did not run. I did not rush. I walked with my head high, feeling the eyes of every person in that restaurant on my back. Behind me, I heard Sarah start to cry. I heard Derek say something in a low voice. I heard the scraping of chairs. I did not look back. Sarah called my phone 17 times that night. I did not answer a single call. I sat on my couch with a glass of whiskey I did not drink and just stared at the wall. Around midnight, I heard a car pull into the driveway, then footsteps on the porch, then knocking. Brantley, please. We need to talk. I need to explain. The knocking got louder. Brantley, please open the door. I had changed the locks that afternoon while she was getting ready for her date. On the front porch were 3 suitcases I had packed with her clothes and essentials. Sitting on top was an envelope. Inside was a note written in my handwriting. My attorney will contact you Monday. Do not contact me directly. All communication goes through lawyers now. The knocking turned to pounding. Brantley, you cannot do this. What about the kids? What about our family? Lights started turning on in neighboring houses. I heard Mrs. Chen from next door open her window. Sarah, it is midnight. Go home. Sarah's crying got louder. This is my home. I sat perfectly still on my couch, listening to my wife fall apart on the other side of the door I had locked her out of. Part of me wanted to open it. Part of me wanted to let her explain to try to fix this. But the bigger part of me, the part that had listened to that recording over and over, knew that some things cannot be fixed. Some betrayals are too deep. Eventually, the crying stopped. I heard her load the suitcases into her car. I heard her drive away. Then silence. The divorce took 4 months. Patricia was as good as her reputation. The recording was damning evidence. Sarah's attorney tried to claim it was obtained illegally, but Patricia had done her research. Oregon is a one-party consent state for recordings, and even though I was not part of the conversation, the recording was made in a vehicle I co-owned. It was admissible. I got primary custody of Emma and Jake. Sarah got visitation every other weekend, and 1 evening a week supervised for the first 6 months, until she could demonstrate stable housing and lifestyle. The house stayed with me because I could prove I was the more stable parent and environment for the children. She got half the savings in her car. The division was fair legally speaking, but it felt hollow. I did not want to win a legal case. I had wanted a marriage, a family, a life partner. Derek, I found out through mutual acquaintances, disappeared from Sarah's life about 2 weeks after the restaurant incident. Apparently being the other man was exciting. Being the guy who had to deal with the actual consequences of breaking up a family was not. Sarah called me once 3 weeks into the divorce proceedings from a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer. When I did, she sounded small, defeated. I just want you to know that Derek left. He said it was too complicated. Too much drama. She laughed, but it was bitter. I threw away our family for a guy who could not handle a little complexity. I did not know what to say to that, so I said nothing. The silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, I am sorry, Brantley. I am so sorry. I know, I said. Then I hung up. The first month after she moved out was brutal. I would put Emma and Jake to bed, read them stories, kiss their foreheads, and then I would go to my room and cry. I felt betrayed. I felt angry. I felt lost. But I also had 2 little people depending on me to keep their world stable, so I got up every morning and made breakfast and packed lunches and did bedtime routines and pretended I was okay, until slowly I actually started to be okay. My mom moved in temporarily to help with childcare. She never said I told you so, even though she had never been Sarah's biggest fan. She just showed up with casseroles and patience, and an endless supply of hugs for her grandkids. My brother Tom came over every Sunday to watch football with me, even though I barely paid attention to the games. My friends from work started including me. in things again, poker nights and weekend hikes pulling me back into life. I started therapy. Talking to someone who was not family, who was not invested in making me feel better, just in helping me process. I joined a support group for divorced parents, and met other people who had survived infidelity, who had rebuilt their lives from the wreckage. Their stories gave me hope. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I took Emma and Jake camping, just the three of us. We drove to Crater Lake, to the same campground we used to go to as a family of 4. I wondered if it would hurt too much, if the memories would be overwhelming. But sitting around the campfire with my kids roasting marshmallows, listening to Emma tell elaborate stories about the stars and Jake fall asleep in my lap, I felt something I had not felt in months. Peace. That night, after I put Jake in his sleeping bag, Emma crawled into mine and looked up at me with those serious 6-year-old eyes. Daddy, is Mommy coming back? I held her close, smoothing her hair. Mommy loves you very much, sweetheart. But Daddy and Mommy are not going to live together anymore. Sometimes grown-ups are better as friends than as a family living in the same house. But that does not change how much we both love you and your brother. Does Mommy still love you? She asked. I thought about how to answer that. I will always care about your mom, Emma. She gave me you and Jake, and that is the best gift anyone ever gave me. Emma seemed satisfied with that answer, and fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. 6 months after the divorce, I started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee here and there with women I met through friends or work. I was not ready for anything deep, and I was honest about that. But I was open to the possibility that love existed, that trust could be rebuilt, that not everyone would betray the faith I placed in them. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Sarah at Emma's school play. She was sitting 3 rows ahead of me, and I saw her before she saw me. She looked tired, older. There were lines around her eyes that had not been there before. When she turned and noticed me, she gave a small, hesitant wave. After the play ended and we collected our kids, she approached me in the parking lot. Can we talk for a minute? I nodded, and we walked a little away from the crowd of parents and children. Brantley, I just want to say I am sorry. Again. I know I have said it before, but I need you to know that I understand what I destroyed. I see Emma and Jake, and I see what I gave up for something that was not real. I listened without interrupting. She looked down at her hands. I have been in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did, trying to become someone better. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I just want you to know that you were right to do what you did. You protected our kids. You protected yourself. I took a breath, let it out slowly. I forgive you, Sarah. Not for you, but for me. I cannot carry anger anymore. It is too heavy, and I need my energy for Emma and Jake. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Then she walked back to her car, and I walked to mine. Looking back now, 3 years after everything fell apart, I understand something I did not understand in the moment. That night in Marco's, playing that recording in front of Sarah and Derek, and a restaurant full of strangers, was not just about exposing her betrayal. It was about choosing myself. It was about choosing my dignity. It was about choosing my children's future in a home built on honesty, even if that home was broken. I could have stayed silent. I could have pretended not to know. I could have let her keep the affair going, maybe confronted her privately, maybe tried to work it out in counseling. But that would have been a slow death of who I was. Every day I stayed quiet would have been another day I told myself I was not worth the truth. Some people think confrontation is ugly. They think keeping the peace is noble. But sometimes confrontation is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. It says I am worth more than this. My truth is worth more than your comfort. My children deserve a parent who models self-respect, not someone who swallows lies to keep a facade intact. The lesson here is not that all marriages fail, or that you should never trust anyone. The lesson is that you have to fight for your own worth, especially when it hurts, especially when it is terrifying, especially when it would be easier to just look the other way. Because at the end of every day, you have to live with yourself. You have to look in the mirror and recognize the person staring back. When I played that recording in the restaurant, when I walked out with my head high, when I changed those locks and filed those papers, I was choosing to be a man I could respect, a man my kids could respect. A man who said, enough is enough. That choice saved me. It gave Emma and Jake a father who showed them what self-respect looks like. It taught them without words that love does not mean accepting betrayal. That family does not mean tolerating dishonesty. That sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. 3 years later, I am dating someone wonderful. Her name is Clara, and she is a teacher at Emma's school. She knows my story. She knows I come with baggage and 2 kids and a healthy dose of caution. She has never pushed, never demanded more than I can give, and somehow that has made me want to give everything. We are taking it slow, but for the first time since Sarah, I can imagine a future that includes partnership and trust. Emma and Jake are thriving. They split time between my house and Sarah's apartment, and while it is not the intact family I once dreamed of giving them, it is honest, it is stable. It is filled with love, even if that love is divided between 2 homes now. And me, I am okay. More than okay, actually. I am whole. Not because the betrayal did not hurt, it did. Not because the divorce was easy, it was not. But because I chose myself when it mattered most. Because I refused to disappear in my own life. Because when everything was falling apart, I decided how I would stand in the wreckage. I chose to stand tall. So let me ask you, have you ever had to make a choice between keeping peace and keeping your self-respect? Have you ever had to confront a truth that terrified you? Drop your answer in the comments below, because I would love to hear your Marius story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real stories about navigating life's hardest moments. Share this with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to choose yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that even in your darkest moment, you have the power to decide who you will be. Stay strong, stay true, and remember that your worth is not negotiable.